Hello everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome to a new playthrough on the channel. We're starting the 2025 Advent of the Phoenix with a new debut on the channel, as we're playing Dice Throne by Roxley Games. From what I've been seeing so far between the video of Marvel Dice Throne Jester made yesterday and my own research, this basically looks like essentially a combat-focused Yahtzee game, where you're trying to match patterns of dice, whether by numbers or by symbols, and resulting in attacks on your characters. Both of our characters start with 50 health, and the goal is to reduce the other character to 0. To start off, we've got the Vampire Lord. We'll go through the abilities when they become relevant, but the ultimate ability for the Vampire is on 5 blood symbols, that's the blood droplet symbol. She gets Exsanguinate. Search your deck for any one card, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Gain 2 blood power, then deal 10 damage. Blood power for her is a player with these tokens may spend them to activate each effect once per turn. If your offensive roll phase results in an attack, add 3 damage, counts as an attack modifier. 2 tokens, remove a status effect from a chosen player. This effect may only be activated during your main phase. 3 tokens, draw 2 cards. Or 4 tokens, heal equal to the amount of damage your attack successfully dealt. This effect may only be activated during your roll phase. And if your attack successfully deals damage to an... Hold on. Throat was getting dry as I was trying to narrate. Heal equal to the amount of damage your attack successfully dealt. May only be activated during the roll phase. But if your attack successfully deals damage to an opponent infected with 2 bleed tokens, gain blood power at the conclusion of your turn. Then the Seraph's ultimate ability is Split the Heavens, which also needs 5 sixes. Gain Flight, Holy Presence, and Blessing of Divinity, deal 13 damage. Flight is roll 2 dice to dodge or make undefendable. Holy Presence is during the upkeep phase. The token deals 1 damage to all opponents. And Blessing of Divinity, next time a player would be defeated, would have their health reduced to 0, remove it and set their health to 1 instead. The token may not be removed or transferred by other means. So we're going to determine who goes first via die roll. This is the Vampire Lord's die. This is the Seraph's. Whoever rolls higher gets the Cthulhu Flux token first to go first. It will be the Seraph taking the first turn. So we'll look at her hand to start with. Okay. Alright, the Seraph starts off with getting no combat points. So she's got no way to gain any of those during the income phase. Well, not this first income phase anyway. So she's going to go straight into her... She's going to go straight into her first turn. Her main phase 1. So, spend to play cards. Is there anything she wants to play right now? Not yet. So she's going to roll, and we'll see what she can do with her first roll. Alright, we've got 2 6s, a 1, a 2, and a 5. I'm going to keep the 2 6s and potentially go for highest power. So we get 2 more rolls at this. Which will get highest power. And just for giggles, I'm going to roll the 5 one more time to see if we can get her ultimate ability. We cannot. But we will get highest power. She'll gain Flight and Holy Presence. Actually, Holy Presence, I believe, goes on... Holy Presence, I believe, goes on the enemy, doesn't it? Deals damage to all opponents. So, yeah, I think that will go on the Vampire Lord from the looks of it. And then that'll also inflict Blinding Light, which also looks like it goes on the opponent. So the status effects go off. If you activate an attack, your opponent activates their defense ability with a single roll attempt. So the Vampire Lord will defend with Immortal Flesh. On 2 claws, she'll inflict bleed. On 2, what are those? On 2 gazes, she'll gain blood power. Steal 1 health per blood rolled. She will get 2 rolls, so she'll gain blood power. Looks like she'll gain a blood power. She won't steal any health, but she will take the 8 damage to the face and go down to 42. So she wasn't able to defend any of it. Okay, main phase 2, we could play... Actually, she could have gotten her ultimate ability there if I would have been willing to spend the samesies, but I'm not going to worry about that. So, I think that will do it for the Seraph's turn. Now we're over to the Vampire Lord's turn. So now she'll gain a combat point and draw a card. And I'll take a first look at the Vampire Lord's hand. Alright, so as an instant action, she will pay the 1 combat point to play out a double up, which will let her draw 2 more cards. Oh, wow. Then she'll play Getting Paid as an instant action to gain 2 more combat points. She's going to get deep into her deck on this one, and we haven't even rolled for her attack yet. So, I think we're actually going... Is there a hand limit in this game is the next question. How's it going so far? Your Jester's at work. We'll be here but not able to talk. Just depends. All good, Jester. I understand. I just started here. What am I looking for here? So we've got, as you can probably see, we've got the Vampire Lord. Remember, the start player doesn't get CP or a card for the first turn. The Seraph was the start player, and I didn't give her either one. So... Yeah, it doesn't say... You must... Okay, 6 cards is card limit. 6 card is the hand limit. So right now we're at 5. Actually, I could still play triple up to draw 3 more cards. No, I wouldn't be able to do that. Yeah, I think it's fine. I think we're going to go into... Actually, that should have dealt damage on upkeep phase. Yep. So Vampire Lord should have taken 1 damage from the Holy Presence. So now the Vampire Lord's going to see what she's doing with her attack. And as you can you might know this, Jester, but I'm looking at using Dice Throne as a test for a new way to determine. You can also discard a card for 1 CP. Right. I don't think... Actually, you know what? She is going to do that. Let's see. But can be removed. She's actually going to spend 2 combat points. Now that I'm actually paying attention, and play bye-bye. She's going to get rid of the... She's going to get rid of the Holy Presence from Seraph. And then... I think now she's going to play... Now she's going to play triple up for 2 and draw 3 cards. Okay, so we've actually got some good stuff here potentially. But let's see what the Vampire 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay? Let's see what the Vampire Lord is doing with her first attack. Okay, we've got a couple options here. We'll save the 2 gazes for a glamour for the time being. And yeah, I think we'll keep the 2 gazes. We need 1 more to trigger glamour for the Vampire Lord, which we will get an identical roll. Actually, we'll keep the blood as well. We'll see if we can roll another gaze. We cannot. So that will actually be a lost turn. That'll actually be a lost turn for the Vampire Lord. So it didn't result in any kind of attack, which means the Seraph doesn't have to worry about defense. Main phase 2. She is going to sit tight because she wants to be able to play. Actually, she's going to discard the better D for 1 CP so she can pay for a gouge upgrade. On 3 claws, she'll deal 3 damage, 4, 5, 5, 7. On 3 of a kind numbers, gain blood power. So that'll be her upgrade. That'll be it for the Vampire Lord's turn. Back over to the Seraph. There's a lot of strategy with the card play and different powers. For solo, it's not too much. That's fair. I'll actually leave him face up. I'm just so much in the habit of. I guess my thing is I don't want to get myself confused where I don't want to think something that's face up is in the discard pile, but I think it'll probably be fine. So the Seraph will gain a combat point and draw a card. Okay, wow, that's a Holy Blade 3 upgrade. That would be 3 for 5, 4 for 7, 5 for 9. On 4 of a kind, inflict blinding light. And Cherubim 2, needing 3 blades and an angelic pendant. Gain cleanse, flight, and holy power. Okay, so she's going to actually start off by spending 3 for a Holy Blade 3. So she's going to upgrade that right off the bat. Then she's going to discard a Not This Time to gain 1 CP. Just in case we might need to use a samesies, because I almost triggered her ultimate on her first roll. But let's see what the Seraph is getting up to here. That's 5 claws. She might just take that for 9 damage. And I think she will, actually. That's a very good roll. So she'll take 5 claws for 9 damage. The Vampire Lord will get to defend with Immortal Flesh. And she will get absolutely bubkiss out. Well, she'll steal a health. Wrong thing, Phoenix. She'll steal 1 health for the blood she rolled. But she's ultimately going to end up taking... That's actually going to net out to a total of 8 damage. So the Vampire Lord will take another 8. Actually, the Vampire Lord would take 9, but that'll net out to minus 8. Bringing her down to 30... 42 minus 9 is 33. So that's where she's going to end up. And I don't think that counts as base ranked. There's a rule about going from... There's a rule about going from base to rank 3, and you don't remember what it is. Well, let's take a look at that. Hero upgrades. May be upgraded directly to level 3 if... pay only the difference in CP cost between the upgrades. And pay only... You may be upgraded directly to level 3. Pay only the... If upgrading an already upgraded ability from level 2 to level 3, play the new card over the top of the previous upgrade and pay only the CP cost. So it looks like you just pay the difference. So if you're going 1 to 2, you would pay 1 in that case. If I'm understanding that correctly, and I'll bring the book up before I go into main phase 2, but there's the exact rule. May be upgraded directly to level 3. If upgrading an already upgraded ability, going from level 2 to level 3, for instance, play the new card over the top of the previous hero upgrade and pay only the difference in CP cost between the upgrades. So if I'm understanding that correctly, that means if I was going from say 1 to 2, I would pay 1. If I was going 1 to 3, I would then pay 2. But Of course, you know I'm not the brightest light bulb in the bunch, so I'm probably processing that all wrong. If anything, it kind of reminds me a little bit at a glance of how Parallel Agnes handles her spell upgrades. Or actually, how Arkham Horror, the card game, handles upgrades like normal. So I think that's going to be it for the Seraph. The Seraph has definitely put a hurting on the Vampire Lord early. The Vampire Lord will get 1 CP and draw a card. Blood Flow, as an instant action, roll a die, gain half the amount of blood power rounded up. So, yeah, she's going to play that. Gain that as an amount of blood power. That's a 5 rounded up, so she'll gain 3 more blood power. Alright, and so blood flow's done. And I think we are all set to go. So let's see what the Vampire Lord's doing. Actually, I've got to double check what this token's doing. She's got a full house of Claws over Gazes. The Blinding Light is to fail or reduce. The next time a player afflicted, they must remove this token and roll a die. Okay. So I think that only includes their offensive roll phase. So we'll deal with that momentarily. She's going to keep the Claws because she's got a guaranteed 3 damage. Well, pending the token. 4/5. Okay, so she will deal 7 damage potentially, but she's actually got to roll the Blinding Light. She's got to deal with the Blinding Light. Must remove this token and roll a die. I'll use one of the Seraph's dice for that since I want to make sure I keep the Vampire Lord straight. That's a 2, so any damage they deal for the remainder of the roll phase is cut in half. So they would be dealing 7 damage. So the Vampire Lord would be dealing 7 damage, but that actually gets reduced to... That's actually going to get reduced, we'll say, round up. For consistency's sake, that'll be 4 damage coming in, pending the roll of the Angelic Mantle for the Seraph. That's a cross, so that means she gets to prevent 2 of the damage, so only 2 damage coming in for the Seraph, bringing her down to 47 to 33 for the Vampire Lord. But since it resulted in an attack, okay, so yeah. We're going to spend 3 blood power. We spend them to activate an effect once per turn. She's going to spend 3 blood power to draw 2 cards. Okay, she's fresh out, so I think that'll be it. She's fresh out of CP, so that'll be it for the Vampire Lord's turn. We'll move over to the Seraph. She'll gain 2 combat points and draw a card. We've got another upgrade that could go to Glorious 2. And she's actually going to do that for Glorious 2. The Seraph getting a lot more of her upgrades. So now we've got 3 claws and wings. Actually, 3 blades and wings. Gain flight, then deal 7 damage. Also take flight if she gets blade and 2 wings. Chosen player gains flight and then deal 3 undefendable damage. So I think we're going to sell bye-bye for a combat point. And then we'll go into the Seraph's offensive roll phase. Let's see what she's doing. Okay, we've got options here. We've got two angelic pendants, 2 blades, and a cross. Nothing really much there. We'll keep let's keep the 2 6s, See if we can get highest power. And we'll see if we can get something powerful. And 3 claws. 3 blades. Let's see. Actually, we've got cherubim if we want it, and that'll give her cleanse, flight, and holy presence. Which I think we will take. I think we'll take that. I think we'll take that. We needed a. Yep, we need 3 blades and an angelic pendant, which we've got that. So that'll give her cleanse. That'll give her cleanse, another flight, and a holy presence. That will go over on the Vampire Lord for a guaranteed 1 damage on upkeep. We could do samesies, but I don't think we're going to do that here. So we're going to move over to the Vampire Lord's turn. Since it didn't result in an attack, I'm not going to worry about a roll on the Vampire Lord. Let's see. We're back up to 1 CP. She is going to take 1 damage from the... She's going to take 1 damage from the Holy Presence. So that'll bring her down to 32. She's going to play... She's going to spend 1 to play Get That Out of Here and get rid of the Holy Presence again. I think she really does not want to keep taking damage on upkeep during that. So what else does she want to do here? She's probably going to need to build up some CP. She'll sell Tippet for a CP. She'll also sell Twice as Wild for CP. And then she's going to roll for an attack. That's claws. Oh, actually, that's a rend right off. So she's going to use rend to deal 6 damage and roll 3 dice. Add 1 per claw damage. On a gaze, draw a card. On blood, gain blood power. So I'm going to make some... I'm actually going to grab some other dice so I can note how much damage I've got going out. Fortunately, I've got some D6s right here that I can use. Actually, you know what? Better idea. I'm going to grab... Could, of course, decide to start characters with 25 hit points for a faster game, or increase to 75 if I want an epic game. It's very open to what I want to do. I'm definitely seeing that. The other thing I'm going to have to figure out, though... Actually, I can use one of these dials for that. The other thing I'm going to have to figure out is how... If I'm going to end up using this as a new game to determine an opponent for Christmas in Arkham or the Summer of Lovecraft, the problem is there's a very big theme mismatch here. So I'm going to have to figure out some way to bolt on some Lovecraftian theme to it, whether it's house rule, ancient one abilities, like say each ancient one gets a passive and active ability or something, because it's not just about the mechanics, it's about the theme too, and that's part of where I went with the Fate of the Elder Gods tournament originally, because I wanted something set in the right universe. I still need something to mark what attack is active. Yeah, we can actually use one of these small dice. So we'll use that to mark that rend is currently active. And then we'll re-roll 3 dice. Yep. Okay, so we're adding 2 more damage. That's going to be 8, and we gain a blood power. So that's 8 damage going out, and gain a blood power. We're not going to worry about blood boil right now. The Seraph will roll to see what she's doing on defense. You spend it at any time during the roll phase. She's going to spend a flight. So she gets to roll a die. She gets to roll 2 dice. If a 6 was rolled, activate it. If it was activated during the offensive roll phase, the attack becomes undefendable, but if it's activated during the defensive roll, ignore all incoming damage. So she doesn't, which means she doesn't get anything from flight, but she will still get her angelic mantle. That's a wing, so she'll prevent one of the damage coming in. She'll still take 7 damage, though, and go down to 40. 40 health for the Seraph. And is there anything the Vampire Lord could do with 2 tokens? Remove a status effect. I think that'll do it for the Vampire Lord's turn. We'll bring the outgoing damage dial over to the Seraph so I can help keep that straight. Upkeep phase. We don't have any upkeeps I see. So we'll go to the income phase. 2 CP and draw a card. Another upgrade. Archangel's Will 2, but that'll take a large straight. That would give her Flight, Blinding Light, and deal 9 damage. Or Heaven's Blessing on a blade and 2 crosses. Chosen player gains 2 cleanse and 2 flight. She's going to pay the 2 CP and upgrade that straight away. That'll take a large straight, though. Then she'll sell one more time for 1 CP. And the Seraph is once again rolling dice. Alright, that's 3 claws right off the bat, and that's 3 claws and wings. That would let her deal 7 damage right off the bat and give her a flight token. Yeah, I think that's fine. So she'll get one of her flight tokens back and send 7 damage out. Let's see if the Vampire Lord can do anything about defending that. She gets 3 dice to roll. And that she'll steal 2 health, going up to 34, sending the Seraph down to 38. But then then Vampire Lord will take the 7 damage back, going down to 27. Let's see. Main phase 2, nothing we are going to do there. Sell all cards beyond 6, except we don't have any. So that'll send us back over to the Vampire Lord's turn. We'll give her the ability to activate die. Nothing on upkeep phase. Could use the flight to make it undefendable. I'll keep that in mind. I'd have to roll a 6, though. But that's definitely food for thought. Let's see. The Vampire Lord is going to jump straight into... Actually, she's going to sell her 6-it for a CP and then immediately spend all 4 to activate Dark Omen, which will gain Mesmerize and 2 blood power and inflict bleed on an opponent, on a chosen opponent. So she will gain Mesmerize, she'll gain 2 blood power and a Mesmerize, which that'll go on her, and bleed will go on Seraph. And then she's rolling. We've got a whole bunch of gazes. We only need 3 of them to activate anything here. 4, 5. Yeah, the 3 would activate Glamour. That would give her a combat point, Mesmerize, and 4 undefendable damage. I think that is what the Vampire Lord is going to do. Excuse me. And 4 undefendable damage to the Seraph, bringing her down to 34, which means I can skip right over the defensive roll phase. Actually, I'm going to play Blood Boil to add another damage, bringing her down to 33, plus another 1 damage, so 2 more damage, down to 32. That'll be it for the Vampire Lord's turn. So we're over to the Seraph. Seraph will gain her combat point and draw a card. We've got another upgrade that we could make, Purify 2. 2 crosses and an angelic pendant, choose a player. If that player is an opponent, deal 6 undefendable damage, otherwise heal 5, and additionally you may remove a status effect from that player. That seems very powerful. So she's going to spend her 2 CP to make that upgrade up to Purify 2. And then the Seraph is rolling dice. Wow! She just rolled a large straight naturally. And I believe large straight is 5 of my dice show a sequence. So yeah, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That's an Archangel's Will, which she will activate that. We'll see if she can make that. We'll see if she can make that undefendable. So I'm going to mark that with 9 damage. So we're going to try a flight to see if we can make it undefendable. We cannot, but that'll give her the flight token back, and a blinding light. That'll go over on the opponent. Actually, Mesmerize I think's got to go off. May spend it and roll 1 die. On a 5 to 6, you may force an opponent to reroll. So actually, let's back up a second before we do any of that. Right. We'll put those back in. 2, 3. She is going to spend a Mesmerize. So Vampire Lord is going to spend a Mesmerize because she does not like the idea of a natural straight. When do we try to manipulate the opponent's dice? Can we do that after each roll in the offensive phase? Ability. Let's see here. Resolving text, damage, offensive roll. Let's see. Activate the offensive ability if they'd like to alter your dice. It looks like once the attack is announced. So you roll your attempts first, then once you're satisfied, you announce what you intend to activate. Okay. So yeah, she's going to spend. So Seraph is intending to activate the Archangel's Will. Is she going to try to re-roll that? Yes, she is going to try to re-roll it with a Mesmerize. She needs a 5 or a 6 to force the opponent to re-roll. Which she gets that, so she's going to force them to re-roll. She's going to force them to re-roll something on the inside, probably the 3. So, yep. So she's going to try to alter the 3, and then it'll be turned into a 5 instead. So actually that'll still give the Seraph instead Heaven's Blessing based on the different result with the blade and 2 crosses. Chosen player gains 2 cleanse, so that'll be Seraph getting 2 cleanse and 2 more flight tokens. She's only got a limit of 1, so that'll go up to 3 instead. Bleed does roll a die in the upkeep phase, so I should have rolled for that during the upkeep phase. On a 1 to 4, inflict 1 damage. On a 1 to 4, okay, so on a 1 to 4, Seraph would take 1 damage going down to 31. Okay, so main phase 2, she'll discard 1 of her cleanse tokens to get rid of that bleed. Similar to the Vampire Lord not wanting Holy Presence to stay. Speaking of the Vampire Lord, we're over to her turn now. Upkeep phase nothing. Income, she gets her combat point and draws a card. And she's got Select one of your opponent's dice and force them to re-roll it during the roll action phase. Okay, so it looks like that would be something else she could have done during the offensive roll phase. So Vampire Lord is rolling dice. Okay, that's 3 gazes. That's 3 more gazes and 2 claws. I think she's going to set aside the gazes. She's got glamour guaranteed. Let's see if she can roll something. See if she can maybe roll something else. That's another. We're going to reroll those one more time. She's already got she's got a 3 of a kind on gouge 2. Actually, yeah, she's got that on gouge 2. So she won't roll anything, but she will gain glamour. So she'll gain a combat point, another mesmerize token, and 4 more undefendable damage, which means we're even at 27 apiece, 27 health apiece. Since the damage from glamour is undefendable. And in main phase 2, I think she's good with that, so that'll go over. Actually, yeah, that was undefendable, so that'll go over to the Seraph's turn. Seraph is all clear. I don't know why I'm grabbing the dice right away. Okay. Try again for roll mitigation. I think she's going straight into her offensive roll. Let's see what she's getting up to here. Okay, we've got a 6, 2 4s, and 2 1s. Let's see, 6, 2 4s, and 2 1s. So that's also known as 2 blades, 2 wings, and an angelic pendant. She is going to put that's a 1 of each on a holy smite. She's going to put those aside and see what else she might be able to roll. That's 2 more claws, so I think she's good with that. She's going to attempt a glorious 2. Let's see if the Vampire Lord wants to do anything to alter that roll. She's going to spend a combat point to play a helping hand. Select one of your opponent's dice and force them to re-roll it. Tell them to re-roll their 4. Which will turn that. Ooh, that might have been even more problematic, because now that's going to turn that into a Holy Blade 3 on a 4 of a kind to deal 7 damage and inflict blinding light. And that actually stacks up to 1 on Vampire Lord. So you want to mesmerize again. Well, not Vampire Lord, Seraph is actually going to attempt to activate Flight. See if she can make the attack undefendable. She cannot. So the Vampire Lord will get to defend with 3 dice. And she will inflict a bleed on Seraph. But Vampire Lord will still take the 7 damage back. So that'll bring her down to 20. Let's see, we're at about 39 minutes getting to a health of 20. So what I could probably do, if I end up using this how I think I'm going to, blow through main phase 2 and move over to Vampire Lord's turn. If I use this how I think I'm going to, as a straight bracket elimination tournament, I could probably see making the early round matches 25 health, then, say, starting at the semifinals 50, and maybe the finals 75. I don't know how that's exactly going to work yet, although I did find 3 new ancient ones when I was browsing on the Geek this morning that are actually in Eldritch Horror that could make the tournament a lot bigger. So that could be a little bit of a problem. She's going to play Bloodletting right away, going into the main phase, which will give her a blood power and a combat point. That stacks up to 5. She's got 4, so this will be her 5th. Okay. And she has got to get the combat point, and now she's rolling dice. Oops. We've got 2 gazes, 2 claws and a blood droplet. Let's keep the... We'll keep the claws and the blood droplet. We'll reroll the gazes. There's another claw and a gaze. We'll reroll the gaze. Okay, so we still end up with a gaze, which means we'll be we'll be activating gouge on a 3 of a kind. Then, let's see if Seraph will... Seraph can't do anything of that, with that, so she will try to defend with an angelic mantle. That's a claw, so she'll deal 2 damage back to Vampire Lord, bringing Vampire Lord down to 18. But we'll still take the 3 damage, bringing Seraph down to 24. Is the Vampire Lord going to spend any blood power? She is... Actually, she's got to roll for her blinding light. We must re-roll this, remove this token, and re-roll 1 die. So we'll remove that. On a 2, any damage they deal for the remainder of the roll phase is cut in half. So that would have been 3 damage on the gouge, which means Seraph actually has 1 HP back. So 25. Okay, we're down to main phase 2, and that'll be back over to Seraph's turn. She will roll on upkeep to check the bleed token. On a 5 or a 6, she removes it. That's a 3, so Seraph will take 1 damage. Then on income, she'll go 1 combat point and draw a card. That's a Holy Smite 2, which we have not upgraded yet. Well, she'll spend a cleanse. She'll spend a cleanse to get rid of the bleed. Then she'll pay 2 combat points for Holy Smite 2. It's got the same thing as before, plus it's got Holy Command on 3 blades and a cross. Heal 1 damage and deal 4 undefendable damage. She'll sell the Try Again for a combat point, and Seraph is rolling dice. That's 3 blades across. That's 3 blades across and an angelic pendant. I think she's just going to go with... Holy Command. Healing a damage and dealing 4 undefendable damage. That seems good right here. Let's see, then... Since it was already undefendable, she doesn't need a flight. Second main phase, that'll do it for her turn. We'll move over to Vampire Lord. Actually, Vampire Lord's got these mesmerized tokens that she should be paying attention to. Nothing on upkeep phase, so she'll gain a combat point and draw a card. Okay, Gouge is actually very needed right now, so she'll spend the combat point to upgrade that to a level 3. Now the numbers go up to 4, 6, and 8. And Vampire Lord is rolling. Hoping to do something here. Alright, that's a 3 of a kind on a Gouge. We'll keep the Rend as well. We'll keep the Bleed as well to keep Rend open. And we'll actually take the Rend. So that's what's going to be active right now. 6 damage potentially going out. And then rolling 3 dice. Oop. Okay, so that's 2 more damage, so that'll be 7, 8. And then let's see if she deals damage, and let's see how much damage she deals. Actually, I could probably leave that. I could probably just put that dial right there, and just move the Cthulhu Flux token. Let's see what the Angelic Mantle's doing. preventing 3 damage, so that'll bring it down to 5 damage. Which is still going to be quite a bit. That'll bring Seraph down to 20, and what does Vampire Lord want to do with her blood power? Actually, she's going to spend 4 of her blood power to heal for 4 damage. So that's up to 18, and we've suddenly got a real close match here. And I think that'll be it for Vampire Lord, so we'll move over to Seraph's turn. Nothing on upkeep, so she'll gain a combat point and draw a card for a highest power upgrade, which will be what she upgrades. So the damage from the 4 6s goes up to 10, and on 3 for a Divine Visage, gain Holy Presence, 2 Flight, and 2 Cleanse, inflict Blinding Light. Oh, actually, it looks like Holy Presence goes on me, so I've been doing that wrong. And we're rolling. Oop, yeah. Knock it off. Dice are going flying on me as usual. Let's see what Seraph's doing here. Full house of Blades over Crosses I don't think gives her anything, but it does give her access to Holy Command if she wants it. It also gives her Heaven's Blessing. I think she'll take Holy Command, though. Does Vampire Lord have a way to change the value of any one die? So even if, the thing here is, even if she changes... I believe you could probably use that on your opponent's dice, but... I'm not going to worry about that here. So that will be the Seraph healing for 1, and the Vampire Lord dealing 4 and the Vampire Lord taking 4 undefendable damage. Actually, hold on. These mesmerized tokens, I was just talking about them. Vampire Lord's going to spend 1 of them to try to make Seraph have to re-roll 1 of them. Each of the powers say defensive or offensive. I think it's positive or negative status effects is what I'm seeing on here. Alright, that's a 5, so Vampire Lord will actually force Seraph to reroll one of her blades. She'll get a cross instead, which might change the power that she uses. She's going to sit on her Mesmerize. And instead, she's going to use... actually, I think Vampire Lord just kind of dodged trouble on this one. Because... Actually, no, she didn't. Vampire Lord, or Seraph will use Heaven's Blessing instead. Chosen player will gain 2 Cleanse, which that's up to 3, and 2 Flight. That'll be it for Seraph's turn. We'll go over to Vampire Lord again. Nothing on upkeep phase, so she'll gain 1 CP and draw. Finding limb from limb, attack modifier to roll 5 dice, add 1 times the number of claws rolled, and if at least 3 damage was added, inflict bleed. That's probably something she's going to be looking for. So she's rolling. Okay, whoa, hello. She just rolled a large straight naturally. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Large straight gives her blood magic. So she's going to announce activating blood magic. Let's see if Seraph can do anything about that. Oh, highest power goes up there. Seraph's got no way to modify that, so she's just going to defend that. Actually, no, she's not going to defend that because Vampire Lord will spend a Mesmerize to make that undefendable. So she'll gain blood power, inflict bleed, then deal 8 undefendable damage. That is huge for Vampire Lord. That'll put her ahead right now. So Seraph is down to 12. And she's going to... When do attack modifiers get played? Let's see, I think modifiers get played. Here we go. They can be played before or after the defensive ability is activated. So she's actually going to spend 1 combat point to activate Limb from Limb. Roll 5 dice, add 1 times the number of claws, and if at least 3 damage was added, inflict bleed. Gonna sit on that, so she'll just add 1 more damage. Vampire Lord is starting to make the comeback indeed. This is going to come right down to the wire, I would imagine. We're over to Seraph, though, who's got to roll a die for her bleed. That's a 6, so she will get rid of bleed without having to burn a cleanse token. Seraph looked to be in control of this game early, but Vampire Lord's making it interesting. That's an Angelic Mantle for 2 CP, which she will sell she'll sell her samesies to get the CP she needs to upgrade to it. So on a claw, she'll deal 3 damage back. Then on wings, gain flight. On a cross, prevent 2 damage. On an angelic pendant, prevent 3 damage. And then Seraph is rolling. Alright, so that's 2 1s. That's 2 blades, 2 crosses, and an angelic pendant. She is going to... is she just going to use... She's actually looking at that Purify 2 pretty hard right now. If the player's an opponent deals 6 undefendable damage, otherwise heal 5, and you may remove a status effect from that player. What else could be useful here? She's going to go with... she would need to get a blade and a wing to use Holy Smite. She's going to try it, though. She's got Purify 2 ready to go if this doesn't work. That's a wing. That's 1 wing. She's going to keep the wing and roll this to try to maybe get a blade, which she won't get. But with 3 crosses, I think that's fine. So she's going to stick with the Purify 2. Choosing a player, she's going to choose Vampire Lord and deal 6 undefendable damage. And that'll be over to Vampire Lord's turn. How much were these packs when I bought them? These 2 were $30 a piece when I got them at the local game store on Saturday. Over to Vampire Lord, nothing on upkeep. So she'll gain a combat point and draw a card. Immortal Flesh 2. Ooh, that'll give her an extra die. And still the same other effects. That she'll spend 2 combat points, though, to upgrade that. And then she's rolling dice. Alright, 3, 4, 4, 5, 6, but we've got 3 gazes. Actually, she's got Sanguimancy right off the bat. She's either got Sanguimancy to heal 2, or gain 3 blood power, or we've got Glamour to gain a combat point, mesmerize, and deal 4 undefendable damage. Or could we change the value of something? Change the value of any 1 die. That would give her a large straight, but Seraph would be able to potentially defend it. Always upgrade your defensive powers when you can. Yeah, that's what they both got defensive powers upgraded. And Vampire Lord is actually going to spend 2 combat points for a So Wild. She's going to change one of these 4s to a 2 and make that a large straight. So she's attempting to go for blood magic. Seraph will have to roll for defense. Fortunately for Seraph, Vampire Lord is out of Mesmerize to make that undefendable damage. So let's see what Seraph... Actually, Seraph's going to spend a flight token instead. So she'll spend that first, then we'll try her Angelic Mantle. Will not activate flight. That would be way broken to be able to spend all three of those in one shot. So I'm going to go with you can only do that once per round. So now we're trying Angelic Mantle 2. That's a 6, so she'll prevent 3 of the damage coming in. That's still 5 damage coming in, bringing her down to 6. And gain blood power and inflict bleed. And since that resulted in an attack, let's see, 3. She's actually going to spend that back to inflict that 3 damage back. So that'll bring Seraph down to 3. And I think we're heading for the end of the game here pretty soon. Actually, Seraph on upkeep's got to roll for that bleed token. Actually, no, she's going to spend a cleanse just to get rid of it. She doesn't want to take a chance on taking the damage. 1 CP and draw a card. Yikes, she doesn't have the CP, so if Vampire Lord is able to roll any kind of decent attack, this game's over. Let's see what Seraph's doing here. 4 5s and a 6. Well, that's a Purify. We'll keep those for now. And we'll see what Seraph can do with these other 2 dice. 2 claws, or 2 blades. I keep calling them claws because they kind of, if you're thinking about Wolverine, they kind of look like claws. What does she want to do here? I think she's going to try one more time. Yes. Alright, so that's 3 crosses. That's 3 crosses, a blade. That's 3 crosses, a blade, and an angelic pendant, but she's going to use Purify 2. She's going to heal 5 damage from herself and not remove a status effect. And we're definitely getting down to the wire here in this one. Nothing on upkeep phase for Vampire Lord, so she'll go into her income phase, which will gain 1 CP and draw a card. There's a Consume Blood. She's got 2 blood power, so she will consume blood and spend... Actually, no, she's not going to consume her blood power. She wants to make sure she's going to sit on a blood power to make sure she's got enough blood power available to take out Seraph. Especially if she rolls an attack. And I think she's going to be looking for an attack of any kind here. She's not going to be picky in the slightest. So Vampire Lord is rolling for her attack. Okay, that is 2 that's 2 bloods. Actually, that's a full house for Rend. She's actually going to go for Rend here. Try to go for game. So she's got 6 damage coming in, and she's going to roll 3 dice. Adding 2 more damage. So adding 2 more damage, so that'll be 8. And she'll gain a blood power. And we'll see if Seraph can get away from this attack. This is going to be a flight. She needs one of these to be a 6. She hasn't been able to activate flight successfully yet. She will not be able to here, so she's got to roll for her defense. She's got to block some of this damage coming in, or this will be Xaxes to take Seraph out. That's a 1 that'll deal 3 damage back, but unfortunately for her, That'll deal 3 damage back. Unfortunately, that won't defeat Vampire Lord. But the 8 damage coming in will be Xaxes to defeat Seraph, and Vampire Lord has won this first game of Dice Throne. So that'll do it for this playthrough of Dice Throne. I'm actually surprised I enjoyed this one as much as I did. It's probably going to get quicker once I get a little more experience with it. It's not bad for an hour. Not bad for a first time of only being about an hour long. I definitely see myself doing more with this, but I do need to explore some other options for what I'm going to get into, for what I'm going to use for my new way to determine my opponent for Christmas in Arkham and or the Summer of Lovecraft. This is more likely going to be something I use if I do a big tournament around this for Christmas in Arkham rather than the Summer of Lovecraft. Just food for thought at this point on that. Anyway, I'm going to do my usual cleanup here. I'm going to do my cleanup. And actually, I was a little bit surprised, too. Because here's the thing. I was looking at these. There's actually a lot more room than I thought in here for the cards. My initial thought I wasn't going to sleeve them because the cards weren't going to fit. But it turns out if I sleeve the cards, actually everything will fit in here just fine. So definitely some food for thought there as well. Let's see, Teardown is... Yeah, Teardown is actually very quick because there's Vampire Lord already put away. Or I should say already ready to be put away. Let me get the box out here. That was actually also a really good matchup between Vampire Lord and Seraph. Came down to the wire. I thought Seraph was going to run away with this one due to all the upgrades that she was getting, but Vampire Lord was able to pull it out in the end. This will probably be one of the few games in my collection where I don't immediately want to rip the insert out. But let's bring all of this stuff out of shot as well. And we'll bring the Advent calendar in shot. This is another dice calendar that I got tested according to international standards, yada yada yada. So I'm going to need a knife so I can crack this thing open. Actually, no, I don't need the knife. I was just looking down here, and looks like there's a little spot where I can actually tear the shrink off. There we are. It probably slides out. Nope. Opens like so. So here's our Advent calendar. I'm going to go to the 1. Because this is December 1st after all. Oop. It's not going to tear cleanly. It's also not going to come out cleanly. Let's see if folding that in helps it come out. Come on. Let's tear that off. Maybe tearing that little tab will help it come out. There we go. Looks like we've got color-themed dice. This is the D4 in one of the sets, and I've got to say, compared to the calendar last year, I am way happier with this set of dice at a first glance than I am with especially the purple and green set that we cracked open last year. In fact, I think I still have that set of dice around here somewhere. Let me see if I still have it. I know I didn't junk it. Oh, here we go. I was going to say, I didn't junk the dice from last year's advent calendar. Hilarious, Jester. Anywho, here are the dice that I cracked last year on the channel. All of them were a little bit too big to fit through the dice tower, but especially in the case of this die against the green screen, the contrast was absolutely horrendous. I cracked a couple of entries in the last year's advent calendar against the green screen, and you guys know I didn't like that at all. So at least on the first die that's coming out of this calendar, I'm a lot happier with how the dice are coming out. But that'll do it for this playthrough of Dice Throne. I've got more stuff coming on the channel today, but I'm going to hold a lot of that close to the vest until I figure out what I'm playing, because I don't completely know what I feel like playing yet. I'm going to need some way to store these as well. Actually, I've got a baggie right here that I can probably use. So we'll do that for the time being until I figure out something a little more permanent. But stay tuned to the channel for more gameplay coming over the course of the day. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care, everyone.